today's show, Danny Marang joins the program again as we talk about the limits of Trailblazer small ball. How small can they go? And where do they run up against issues? A team that is committed to playing small and funky. Plus, we talk about where the Blazers stack up in the West, running down all of the playoff teams and what the play-in race is going to look like. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts. Today's show, more of my conversation with Danny Marang, the host of Danny and Dusty, the 12 to 3 on 1080 The Fan here in Portland, or wherever you get the internet on 1080thefan.com, plus the host of the Jack Ramsays podcast. If you missed part one of our conversation, it's waiting in your feed right before this one, or for a YouTube listener, is the video right before this. Danny and I are going to get into everything, including the strangeness of the Blazers' small ball experiment. Here's more of our chat. I'm not really concerned about the first unit playing slow. I just think it's a reality. Mm-hmm. You know, like Dame is one of the best half-court offensive players I've ever watched play basketball. So I'm cool with letting him cook the way he prefers to season the food.
When you're getting like a 1.1 point per possession out of your point guard's half court over a decade, you're doing pretty good.
Well, like early on when Chauncey was here, and it totally makes sense. New coach wants to like, hey, we're going to run our stuff. And it was clear that Dame just wasn't super comfortable doing some of the stuff that he wanted to do. And they went back to saying, okay, let's match up hunt. Let's run pick and rolls. Let's match up hunt. Let Dame pick out his spots. It's like, I think both him and Billups were like, yeah, this is better for us. You know,
let the superstar do what the superstar does.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is that simple.
It mostly is that simple. You like in high leverage moments, there's chances to do different stuff, but like the NBA just comes at you every day. You play Monday, you play Wednesday, you play Saturday, you play Monday, you play Tuesday. It's like, you might as well run what you're bet. This is
play the hits. Play the hits, baby.
Mike D'Antoni says, every time down the floor, let's do what we're best at. Why wouldn't we do what we're best at? He's done that in a lot of different flavors. He played incredibly fast in Phoenix comparatively. And then when they played comically slow in Houston, because that was what his best, like at some point, turn it over to the best dude on your team and let him do what he does best. But the intrigue of saying, okay, Dame sits, let's just turn up the gas and
get weird.
Yeah.
That's the thing. To me, at least, it's like, what does that hybrid unit look like? How does it execute? How efficient are they? Because we saw the ups and downs of Trendon in Summer League, and we saw as effective as Trendon was last year. What does he look like when he's in a role where he's not totally featured?
Yeah,
like
off the ball.
Yes, and that's because whether it's Dame or Ant, he's going to be pushed off the ball. How do they find that sweet spot of him getting like grab and go touches or working in the spam pick and rolls, whether it's Dame or Ant? One of the things he was talking about was getting better as a screener, making those the correct reads, and spacing to the corners. One of the things we in Summer League, we did see him take and make corner threes.
That's kind of one of the weird under. He needs to shoot
exactly.
him. Last year, there would be some moments where he'd get a wing three and he wouldn't shoot it, and it's like, okay, well, there's 9 on the shot clock.
Have fun on this back down.
Yeah,
you got 18 more feet to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's got to shoot it. One of my big things had in the Summer League was like, Trendon can shoot bricks. I just want to get him up because he's an off-ball guy at his best. And if that second unit really is him and Justice, and I don't think Jabari's going to play early. I think he'll get some spot minutes.
Yeah,
and I think he might earn it in December and January and February. But like, I think it's Justice early on. I think they're invested in also just like veterans play better defense. It's like easier. Coaches prefer that.
Yeah. Trusting the guy that's been in the league for years is a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, like Johnson. Like Tony Snell would play last year a little bit. It's like, you know why? Because Tony Snell wasn't going to screw up. Now he wasn't going to do anything
until he did.
Yeah, he wasn't going to do anything good. Like he was going to have 0 positives, but he was also going to have 0 negatives. And it's just like he'll stand in the right spot. He'll run the play the right way. Sure, he can't dribble or rebound, but like, but you know, there is a comfort with NBA coaches and guys in low F-ups, you know, like just like a low F-ups. And I think early on Justice will win out because of
they don't like
F-ups.
Volatility, man.
Yeah, nobody does, particularly on coming off the bench. Like, hey, we have volatility. His name's Josh Hart. He's wild out there. Like, let's let him go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's, if you do have Justice and you do have Trendon, that's not a lot of shooting in the front court. Mm-hmm. So you got, those guys have to figure out where they can be best. And I think that's really intriguing. Some nights Drew Eubanks will have to play.
Yeah. Whether it be fouls, whether it be size, like Trendon what's funny is I think Jabari is listed at 6'9", Greg's listed at 6'7", I think, and I think Trendon's 6'7" or 6'8". What's really funny about all this is Greg is the tallest of the three of them.
Trendon's definitely the shortest.
Trendon is the shortest. He's like 6'6" and a half, like maybe 6'7".
Yeah,
and Jabari's like on the 6'8"-ish side. But Trendon, you can just see, is just strong.
He's huge. Yeah.
He's a bull. But Eubanks is just bigger. Like you just see them next to each other, even though I think Drew's listed at 6'8". Like Drew's probably closer to the 6'9", but he's just a bigger dude.
He's an NBA center. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. He's an NBA center where Trendon Watford is a hybrid position.
Yes. And like you're sticking Eubanks out there so Trendon doesn't get his butt kicked physically. Like, and that's not a shot at him at all. NBA bigs, real bigs for 82. Those guys beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
Man. And it's, like, I will never, ever, ever forget the first time I was in an NBA locker room. Joel Prisbilla took his shoes off and I saw his feet. And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And I was like, oh my, what do they do to you every single night? They just mash these giant size 22 feet under the rim all night long. And I'm like, no wonder your feet hurt all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, when Jabari was on the show, I was like, what positions can you guard? And he was like 1 through 4 pretty easily. And I was like, well, we'll see. I don't think you can guard NBA point guards. Like, wait, I was like, wait till you meet De'Aaron Fox in the open court. But
yeah, Quinn Grimes is one. De'Aaron Fox in the open court is another one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's not even like one of the elite point guards. I'm just talking like a good offensive player.
No, just guys who are real fast.
Exactly. And then, but he was like, he's like, I'm not going to say centers because I respect NBA centers. And I was like, thank God. I was like,
because you will get drop stepped into oblivion, buddy.
I know. It's like, I'm not gonna like have this someone I don't know. It's like we met on Zoom or whatever. I'm not gonna be like, no, dog. I'm not gonna be like, hey, Jabari, it was good to meet you. I really appreciate the time, but like, you can't do that. I'm just telling you right now. Like, add me to the list of haters. But I was like, when he said like NBA centers are too big and too, I was like, that's the challenge, and
that's knowing.
And it's sort of the math that the Blazers are hoping. I think some of what they're doing here is saying, we're going to be the team that dictates how you play, as opposed to
the anti-Terry Stotts.
Exactly. As opposed to saying, hey, this is what they're doing. We're going to match what they're doing and have like a baseline of competence. They're saying, we're going to be the weird ones. And when we show up in your building, you have to deal with that. We play Trendon Watford, who is 6'7" and grabs and runs every time he gets a defensive rebound, and you're going to have to deal with our size and our speed. At least that's the calculation off the bench.
I want to give you, I'm not a hot take guy at all. I don't think anybody would ever call me that.
You were a hot take guy, Danny. You've grown out of hot takes. You've grown out.
That's how I got into media. As I got out
there
of it.
You go.
But I think they're going to end up playing Jabari at the 5. When it's all said and done.
No way.
When it's all said and done, I think part of the reason why they took him and why they looked at him was his size and his ability to rebound. And I think they're good. He's a phenomenal rebounder for his size.
Yeah, a freaky, deaky rebounder. His numbers in college were incredible, and then he went to the summer league and he was best rebounder in summer league.
Beat the hell out of everybody on the glass.
Yeah.
Even the actual bigs, which like he got into with NBA caliber bigs and held his own. That's why I was like,
grabbed offensive rebound against Jericho Sims in the finals, where I was like, dang, like that's a big guy
with stupid athletics.
Okay, so I don't believe you. I'll say that. I
know, and I'm not talking like right now. I'm talking about like when he kind of swings into his game. I think
are you talking like April or are you talking 2024?
No, I'm talking like towards the end of this year, like as he starts to ramping up. I think they're going to deploy him as a 4-5.
Well, I will say this. their lineups are so bizarre that he very well might be the tallest person on the court. So yes, it's like the Tim Duncan thing. It's like he's a power forward. I'm like, okay, but he jumps center and he's the tallest dude on the court. So you tell me, you tell me what position DeJuan Blair is playing. Some of y'all listeners are not old enough to know who DeJuan Blair is. Google him.
Google Mr. 6'6" center DeJuan Blair
with no ACLs.
Right there with Chuck Hayes.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, I could see him conceivably being the tallest player on the court.
Just saying.
But I believe that if that's the case, they will have Justice on the court with him to play quote unquote 5 just because of strength. He's 20 years old. He turned 20 this week. Happy birthday, Jabari.
And he hasn't still grown into it yet. But again, against backups, I think that's where he can find his, because like most teams don't have a dude who's going to eat you alive at the 5 spot.
Certainly off the bench.
Off the bench. Yeah. So I think that's where it gets a little bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, both DeMarcus Cousins and Hassan Whiteside, 2 bench monsters, unemployed currently. So
weird.
We'll see what the league's going to do with talls. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Plus, whatever that action is, they're going to have it. So if you don't want to bet on the NBA's quiet off season, well, you can still get in on soccer as it wraps up here and then gets rolling abroad. You can bet on golf. You can bet on tennis. You can bet on the end of the Major League Baseball season. Whatever it is, you're going to find action right there on betonline.net. Plus, they got articles to make you a smarter bettor so you can have a better chance to win some money. Don't wait. Go take advantage of this today. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Here's more of my conversation with Danny Marang. How many teams are better than the Blazers, are for sure better than the Blazers in the West right now?
I heard you do this the other day with Chuck, and I think I got to 7. So before I started to like really split hairs of like, okay.
So just let's do the exercise with me.
Yeah.
Humor me here. Golden State is better.
Yep.
Phoenix is better in the regular season.
As long as their vibes don't go completely sideways and do what the Blazers did. Yes.
The vibes could be very bad.
If the vibes are as bad as Portland's were last year, they will blow up. They will just fall apart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's accounting for a lot.
Sure. So Phoenix, asterisk, yes. Talent-wise, for sure.
Yeah.
The Clippers are better.
Yes.
Denver's better.
Yes.
And then I get to a trio of teams that I think are better. Mm-hmm. I think Minnesota is better.
Yes.
I think Dallas is better, but I am not sure because they got worse. They're not as good as they were last year.
I am with you. I am not a Christian Wood believer. When people were floating on the Blazers,
Nick, if you're listening to this, Nick, if you're listening to this, Locked on Mavs, Christian Wood's bad.
Yeah, okay, go on, Danny. I'm not that guy. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. But Blazers Twitter was very mad that the Blazers didn't get in on that. And I'm like, why? It's not.
You already have a guy who's going to take frustrating 19-footers. At least Jeremy Grant plays on the other end.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, And I don't think Christian Wood really has a position. Like, he's a 5 that's kind of a 4, but he kind of plays more like, I don't know. He can't defend 5s, and he's not really good enough to be a 4 to take those on.
He's a 5 on offense. He's like a 3 on defense, but he's too slow to guard 3s. So he's sort of a 5. Yeah, I don't like him.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then here's the asterisk to that. Beyond Christian Wood, does Luka give a damn? Like, as far as his offseason conditioning? Because if he actually cares in the offseason, my God.
Yeah.
It's just that the next evolution, the Pokemon evolution of Luka Doncic.
He took 2 months off last year. He took 2 months off. Like,
he's still that dude.
Yeah. He's like one of the 10 best players in the league. And he showed up like in terrible physical condition to work.
I had guys in Dallas telling me he was flirting with 3 bills.
I mean, I will say, just like from like on my list of like people I have walked by in a hallway, Luka Doncic is the most surprisingly. Luka Doncic and Nico Melli. Shout out to Nico Melli, former Pelican great. Mm-hmm. I was stunned with how big Nico Melli is, but he's out of the league. So Luka is as big as a like sneaky big person I've ever walked by. It's like he is gigantic.
I've been told by multiple people who have played against him he's one of the 5 strongest guys in the league.
Yeah, he plays at 1 mile an hour and whoops your ass. Like
he just rolls over you like you're not there. It's like,
and he puts you in jail. He's like, you're on his hip, and now it's like, sorry, but
you're
they're
never
worse.
getting around.
They're worse than they are.
They don't fit together.
No, they're worse than they were. And I'm like Reggie Bullock's biggest supporter. Okay,
and
okay?
Theo,
and they signed Theo Pinson. So like, y'all know where my heart is. I think Dallas is on the questionable. Memphis, depending on Triple J's
he's
health,
not going to be back until Christmas.
Yeah,
he's just, like that. That's the thing, is like Portland has a chance to like gain momentum early in the season if they can figure some stuff out and make Memphis have to really dig in. And I think that's going to be interesting because Jaren is probably one of the 3 most underrated guys in the league right now. Like he's
good.
If I'm voting, Marcus Smart's like 7th on my DPOY ballot. I had Jaren last year 3rd. Like he's that good. His only problem is
Marcus Smart is 2nd on my Celtics, who should be.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I really like Marcus Smart because how chaotic and insane
very
he is.
Good player.
Yeah, he's really excellent, but he was not the best defensive player in the league because he also wasn't the best defensive player in his team. Yeah. But sometimes it happens.
It does.
So Memphis without Triple J is very similar to Portland in terms of talent. They were so good on defense that we'll see what happens, but
there's bound to be some regression there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. They lose Kyle, they lose Melton. Yeah. Like there's gonna, like, I know that DeAnthony didn't get on the floor for some.
He just didn't play enough. Yeah.
Whatever.
He's good. He's going to end up really good. Unfortunately, just not with him. I think New Orleans, and this is real haterism, and I know who their 2 best players are. I think New Orleans is worse than the Blazers, but minuscule for me.
I'm wondering if the implosion factor is there because Ingram doesn't do anything off the ball. CJ doesn't really. CJ runs. He usually leads the league in distance covered, but when he gets the ball, you're never getting it back.
Yeah, he wants to dance. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, because Point Zion is the best possible version of the Pelicans team. Like,
absolutely.
6'6", 270-pound dude getting downhill and crushing it.
Yeah, Shaq with a handle. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, he's so good.
Your gravity there is just otherworldly. Do they have enough juice creatively without the ball? And do they care enough defensively in the regular season? They're not going to go, 1-13 to start the season?
Right,
2-13.
right, exactly.
They're not going to. They're going to start really well, but I wonder what the defense looks like and whether there's some frustration factors as far as like who's where in the pecking order, because you have 2 alphas in Zion and Bi. CJ, we know, can play that, like the off guy who, when one's off the floor, becomes the primary.
Totally,
but. Like you're asking Herb to cover up a lot, and he's capable.
Yeah, he's really good on defense, and Bi is probably underrated defensively because of his size. He's just really big.
Like just being 6'9" matters.
He's really big. And I think they can be a league average defense just because they're big. They don't play small players. Like they just have a bunch of tall people.
They are the Western Conference Raptors.
Right. Exactly.
Like the one small guy in CJ or Devontae, whoever it's going to be. And then like everybody else is 6'6".
Yeah. And the Raptors could desperately use a JV who's just like, we have a center in case we need one. We don't use them very much, but we have him when we need him. That's me trying to message Masai Ujiri, who's a big, heavy listener. But yeah, I think I worry that the best Zion and the best Brandon Ingram don't play together.
No, I'm 100% with you there. I don't.
So yeah, I think I've changed my tune. I think they are talent wise better than the Blazers, but I got a lot of people call me a hater, and I reconsider my position. So I think they're a little bit worse. And the Lakers are a huge question mark, because if the Lakers roll out this roster that they have right now today, they are worse than they were last year. They're worse.
I'm not buying them anymore. As much as I'm a LeBron is like firmly number 2 all time. Like if you want to argue LeBron's your number 1, fine. I don't care. Whatever. I don't trust AD. I have moved beyond, like, I don't care how good he is. I don't trust him. He's just he's glass. He just is. And I just
he's the second best player in the 2012 draft class. So it's.
Which is wild. It's wild, but like it's reached that point. He's missed so much time that Dame has eclipsed him.
Yeah, when everyone got mad at Dame for being in the top 75 all time, it's like, not even the most egregious choice from his draft class. Not even the most egregious choice from his peers.
But AD's got a ring, so
he does.
That's
and
how
listen,
goes.
he's really good when he plays, and he just has had so many absences. And last year he just shot bricks when he was healthy. And
it turns out that bubble thing sounds like it looks to be pretty real.
Yeah,
like
no traveling.
Just crazy.
No traveling is like you don't have to.
No traveling in the black backdrops.
Yeah,
apparently that's just. Guys got dialed in, and that's what it was. I think the Lakers are probably worse, but the Lakers at any moment could. It's still LeBron and AD. If they're healthy, then
Yeah. So
do you want to play them in the playoffs? Like that's the question. The answer is no.
So I think for me, there's 4 teams that are definitely better than the Blazers.
You know what sucks about this? For the Kings, did all of this. They still were behind the Blazers.
I got nothing for them. I enjoy.
Weird, man.
I actually have something for them. I really enjoy the Kings broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mark Jones and Kate Christensen are an enjoyable pair.
Absolutely. Kings fans are fantastic.
Yeah, I like Mike Brown as a human. He's cool. He rides a motorcycle. He has got good vibes. It's probably underrated coach.
Mm-hmm.
They're the 11th best team in the Western Conference.
That's a rough start, man.
Yes.
It's just we want to make the playoffs, and you make all these changes, and you get a lottery pick, and Keegan Murray's probably the best performing player at Summer League, and you're 11th best team in the West.
Yeah, I think if things work out for them, they're the 9th best team in the Western Conference. So congratulations. Yeah. So I think the Blazers are something like that, somewhere between 5 and 10.
I end up I keep coming back 7-8. That's where if you're asking me to roll the dice every single time, they end up 7.5. That's the spot that I can see them getting out of that and avoiding the play-in, and I can see them being very firmly in it. The crazy thing about this is they will not be out of the play-in.
Agreed. 100%. They're in the play-in.
The teams after the Kings are going to be the 3 worst teams in the NBA.
Actively bad basketball.
The Rockets,
teams,
Spurs, and Jazz.
And OKC.
Excuse me. The bottom 4 teams are going to be the 4 worst teams in the league because they're actively chasing Wemby. I think that's kind of a weird underpinning of this season of where records are going to fall, because I threw money. I'll be honest. The second that 40.5 line came out on Portland, I took the over without even hesitating on your site that you promo.
There you go.
They were given a deposit bonus, and I was like, I'll take that.
There you go. BetOnline.ag. Thanks for sponsoring the program.
Yep.
Please bet responsibly. Don't follow Danny's advice. I think the Blazers are a 43 win team. I've been saying, you win 39 games by virtue of having Damian Lillard.
Yes.
So then you win 1 extra game. There you go. You win a second extra game because you have Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. That's again the over.
Those 4 teams, I think those teams are going to be 25 and under win teams, and Portland is 2 of them in their division.
Yeah, they're going to play those four games exactly.
They're going to get 8 games out of those guys, and I think that bumps their win total up, which may end up being the difference between them being out of the bubble.
Yeah, I mean,
or out of the play-in.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between 10 and 6 is probably going to be something like 4 games or less.
2 games. It's going to be so tight.
So when I say I think this team is better, I mean they're a 45 win team and the Blazers are a 44 win team.
Who gets the injury luck? That's
exactly.
Who gets the luck of playing the really crappy teams more?
Yeah, who gets that heater where Josh Hart makes 47% of his threes for 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, averages 25 a game. That's literally going to be the difference in the play-in or not for teams. It's as weird as that is.
Absolutely. Thanks again to Danny for joining the program. Check out Jack Ramsays. He's got a robust YouTube channel. It's also available wherever you get podcasts. And listen to him on the radio, 12 to 3 on 1080 The Fan here in Portland, or wherever you got access to the internet at 1080thefan.com. And come back for Friday's show. We'll have more of my conversation where we play a game of what's more likely. It's a whole bunch of fun. You won't want to miss it. I appreciate you listening, and I'll talk to you soon.